Every time you get paid, most people spend without thinking and wonder why they never get ahead. The top 1% of earners do something completely different. They follow habits that multiply their money, protect their future, and build real wealth, month after month. In this audiobook, you will learn exactly what they do, from tracking every expense and automating savings, to investing consistently, reviewing goals, avoiding debt, and adjusting budgets to grow smarter with every paycheck. You will discover practical steps you can apply immediately, no matter how much you earn, to take control of your finances, build multiple income streams, and strengthen your money mindset. By the end of this session, you'll understand how to turn ordinary paydays into opportunities for growth, freedom, and long-term success. Subscribe to Audiobook every day for more life-changing insights you can start using today. Number 1. Track every expense without fail. Tracking every expense without fail is one of the simplest habits on paper, yet it becomes one of the most powerful routines once practiced with consistency. Money has a quiet way of slipping through unnoticed gaps, and most people move through the month thinking the problem is that they do not earn enough. The truth is usually different. The issue is often the lack of awareness. The 1% understand something the rest ignore. You cannot change what you do not measure. When every amount is recorded, no matter how small, a person gains a sense of control that feels steady, calm, and honest. This habit becomes a mirror that reflects who you are with money, not who you think you are. And seeing yourself clearly is the first step toward building wealth with intention instead of chance. There is something empowering about knowing exactly where your money goes. It removes excuses and brings clarity. When income comes in, the average person celebrates, spends, relaxes, or drifts. The minority who build lasting wealth do something different. They observe, they study their own behavior. They treat every transaction as information, not noise. They understand that numbers do not lie, and the more honest the data, the more honest the transformation. Tracking expenses is not about restriction. It is about awareness. It is about stepping into a life where your financial decisions support your goals rather than sabotage them. Most people avoid tracking expenses because it feels uncomfortable. It exposes habits they would rather ignore. Late-night orders, small purchases that add up, impulsive decisions made in moments of boredom or stress. But discomfort is not a warning sign, it is a guide. It points toward an area of life that needs attention. When this habit is practiced daily, the discomfort fades and is replaced by a quiet confidence. You begin to see patterns. You begin to see where you have been careless and where you have been disciplined. You start making choices with intention instead of impulse. The change is subtle at first, but it compounds quickly. There is power in writing things down, whether in a notebook or a simple app. The act forces your mind to slow down and acknowledge each decision. When every purchase is recorded, you start asking better questions. Do you really need this? Does this support your goals? Will this make your month easier or harder? The very act of tracking becomes a pause that protects you from mindless spending. That pause separates the wealthy mindset from the average one. Wealth is rarely built through a single big moment. It grows in the quiet spaces between decisions, in the small choices repeated daily. Many people underestimate the power of small amounts because they look insignificant by themselves. A few dollars here and there feel too minor to matter. But the 1% understand something essential. Small amounts accumulate just as quickly as large ones, especially when left unnoticed. Tracking expenses exposes these hidden leaks. It shows how often emotional spending happens. It reveals the difference between wants and needs. It highlights how frequently boredom influences action. Awareness becomes a form of discipline, and discipline becomes a form of freedom. Tracking every expense also builds character. It forces you to be accountable. It builds a mindset rooted in responsibility. Instead of blaming the economy, the job, or circumstances, you begin to look inward and take ownership of your financial reality. This shift is powerful. When responsibility increases, opportunities grow. You stop waiting for better conditions and start creating them. You become the kind of person who manages resources wisely, no matter the amount. That attitude naturally attracts more resources over time. The habit works even for those who earn little. In fact, it is even more important for them. When money is tight, visibility is crucial. A single careless decision can impact the entire month. Tracking helps you avoid those mistakes. It shows where you can adjust, where you can cut, and where you can redirect. It helps you plan your days with clarity. It teaches you to respect every dollar because you understand its purpose and direction. As this respect grows, so does your financial stability. There is also a mental shift that comes with tracking. You begin to value what you have. You become less reactive and more intentional. You stop trying to impress others or chase short-lived gratification. The habit creates space for long-term thinking. You start seeing money as a tool instead of a source of emotion. This is the mindset that separates those who achieve financial independence from those who remain stuck. Money no longer controls you because you know exactly what it is doing. There is freedom in that clarity. To make this habit work, it must be simple and consistent. It does not require complex software or difficult routines. It only requires honesty and repetition. At the moment you spend, record it. At the end of the day, review it. At the end of the week, study it. This routine takes minutes, but its impact lasts a lifetime. It transforms chaos into order. It shows you where you can improve. It reveals patterns that were invisible before. Most importantly, it keeps your goals in front of you so you do not drift. This habit strengthens your self-discipline. Discipline is not about punishment, but about choosing what matters most. When you track expenses, you choose clarity over convenience. You choose responsibility over impulse. You choose long-term stability over short-term comfort. These choices shape your character and determine your future. Even on days when motivation fades, the discipline of tracking keeps you grounded. It becomes a routine you do without thinking, like brushing your teeth. That consistency builds confidence, and confidence builds momentum. One of the greatest benefits of tracking every expense is the peace it brings. Many people carry silent worry about money. They fear the end of the month. They worry about bills. They avoid checking their balance because it triggers anxiety. Tracking removes that fear. Instead of guessing, you know. Instead of worrying, you plan. Instead of hoping things work out, you take charge. Peace comes from clarity, and clarity comes from awareness. This habit provides both. Over time, tracking expenses teaches you what truly matters. You start cutting unnecessary habits, not because you are forced to, but because you see they add no real value. You stop wasting money on things that give temporary comfort. You start choosing what aligns with your goals. The process becomes natural. You feel lighter because you are no longer weighed down by financial chaos. You create a life where your money works for you, not against you. The 1% do not track expenses because they are obsessed with money. They do it because they respect it. They see money as a reflection of discipline, effort, and time. They want every dollar to have a purpose. When this mindset becomes part of your life, you begin to build habits that support your growth. You become more intentional with everything you do. You prioritize what matters. You stay focused. You move forward with steadiness and confidence. This habit also makes big decisions easier. When you know your numbers, you can plan major goals without fear. You can save for emergencies. You can invest consistently. You can prepare for the future with confidence. Tracking builds the foundation for every other financial habit because it gives you the truth. And once you know the truth, you can improve it. Every strong structure needs a solid base. Tracking every expense is that base. It is the quiet habit behind the scenes that supports your financial life. It does not bring excitement, but it brings stability. It does not make noise, but it creates results. It shapes the kind of person who builds wealth slowly, patiently, and intentionally. In the end, this habit is about self-mastery. Wealth is not only about money, it is about discipline, awareness, and clarity. When you track every expense, you train your mind to be present. You train your decisions to align with your goals. You build habits that reflect strength instead of impulse, and this strength carries into every part of your life. Tracking every expense without fail is not just a financial strategy, it is a personal transformation. It is a daily practice of honesty, discipline, and purpose. When applied consistently, it leads to greater stability, greater confidence, and greater control over your future. It is simple, but it is powerful, and for those willing to practice it, it becomes one of the most valuable habits they ever develop. Number 2. Automate savings before any spending. Automating savings before any spending is a habit that reshapes your financial life from the inside out. It shifts the way you relate to money by removing the need to rely on willpower or emotion. Instead of hoping you will save after paying for everything else, you set up a system that protects your future first. This habit turns saving into a default behavior rather than a choice that depends on mood, temptation, or pressure. When savings happen automatically, you build stability without constantly thinking about it, and your goals begin to grow quietly in the background while you focus on living your life. Most people intend to save, but intention without structure fades quickly. Life presents distractions, bills show up, temptations appear, something always feels urgent. If savings rely on impulse, they rarely happen. Those who build wealth understand this and remove the decision-making altogether. They set up an automatic transfer the moment they receive income, whether it is a paycheck, business revenue, or any unexpected earnings. This habit ensures that progress happens consistently, even in months that feel challenging. The system creates discipline where motivation may not always exist. There is something calming about knowing your future is funded without repeated effort. You feel a sense of control and direction. Instead of waiting until the end of the month to see what is left over, you decide ahead of time what portion of your income belongs to your goals. The moment money arrives, a percentage is moved into savings or investments before your hands ever touch it. This practice helps you build the mindset of someone who prioritizes long-term stability over short-term impulses. You begin to think differently. Your choices change because your habits shape your thinking. Automating savings also removes the emotional battle that comes with deciding whether to save or spend. Money often triggers worry, excitement, pressure, or fear. When savings are automatic, you strip away those emotional conflicts. There is no debate. The transfer simply happens. You no longer negotiate with yourself or search for excuses. The structure supports you even on days when your discipline feels low. Over time, you begin to trust yourself more. You develop confidence in your ability to stay committed because the system itself reinforces your goals. This habit also helps protect you from financial emergencies. Unexpected situations do not feel as overwhelming when you have a growing cushion. Even a small automatic transfer builds protection. The amount does not matter at the beginning. Consistency is what creates impact. A little becomes more over time. A slow start becomes a steady foundation. Eventually, that foundation becomes a shield that keeps you calm in moments when others panic. Having savings does not eliminate problems, but it gives you the strength to face them with clarity and patience instead of fear and urgency. Automating savings changes the way you spend money. When the portion dedicated to your future is removed first, the amount left becomes the true budget you have available. This gives you a clearer picture of your limits. You naturally begin to adjust your lifestyle to fit what remains. This shift prevents overspending because you no longer treat your full paycheck as usable money. You organize your financial world around what is left after paying your future self. This creates structure without feeling restrictive, and the structure makes daily decisions easier. The practice also encourages you to value time differently. When savings happen automatically, you start noticing how money and time intersect. You begin thinking more about long-term growth instead of short-lived gratification. You see every paycheck as a step toward financial independence, not just a moment to fulfill desires. This perspective strengthens your self-discipline, helping you make choices that align with your goals instead of temporary wants. Over time, this mindset becomes part of your identity. Automating savings also reminds you that building wealth is not about luck or sudden opportunity. It is about consistent action, repeated over long periods. Wealth grows in the background while you work, learn, and live. The confidence that comes from knowing your financial future is quietly being built, gives you space to think, breathe, and focus on your goals. This habit frees your mind from constant worry because you know progress is happening even when you are busy. That peace is valuable and rare. The 1% understand that money grows when given time. They create systems that allow compounding to work in their favor. They do not depend on unpredictable behavior. They do not wait for motivation or a perfect moment. They build routines that run without their constant attention. Automating savings is one of the clearest examples of this mindset. It is a quiet discipline that supports a powerful outcome. It allows money to flow toward the future, rather than drifting away through countless unplanned expenses. This habit also encourages you to examine your priorities. When you commit to saving before spending, you are declaring that your future matters. You are choosing to honor your goals over immediate comfort. You are shifting your identity from someone who reacts to someone who plans. This shift creates a sense of pride, and that pride strengthens your resilience. You begin to trust your ability to build something meaningful. You become less influenced by social pressure or comparison because you know what you are working toward. When savings are automatic, you are less vulnerable to lifestyle inflation. As income grows, many people increase their spending to match it. They feel wealthier but remain stuck. Automating savings prevents this, because the percentage saved increases naturally when income rises. You grow your stability before increasing your lifestyle. This creates momentum toward long-term goals, such as investments, security, or financial freedom. Instead of drifting with the crowd, you create your own direction. This habit also makes you more resilient to stress. Money stress is one of the most common sources of tension in life. It affects sleep, relationships, work, and inner peace. When savings are automated, you reduce that stress significantly. You do not constantly worry about falling behind. You know you are building a cushion that supports you even when circumstances shift. This sense of protection strengthens your emotional stability, allowing you to think clearly when challenges arise. Automating savings brings structure into a part of life that many people leave to chance. Structure creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. Momentum creates results. When you trust your system, you become more disciplined in other areas of life as well. You become more mindful of how you spend your time, energy, and attention. You develop a stronger sense of responsibility. You begin to see the value of small, consistent actions. That lesson carries into habits beyond finances. There is also a sense of quiet pride that grows when you see your savings increase month after month. You realize you are building something meaningful through steady actions. It strengthens your sense of discipline. It reinforces the idea that you can rely on yourself. You stop waiting for the right conditions and instead create them. This mindset becomes a source of strength that supports every goal you pursue. This habit also builds a sense of identity. You become someone who prioritizes growth, someone who takes responsibility, someone who does not leave life to chance. That identity influences your choices, your confidence, and your vision for the future. When you know you are saving consistently, you feel more grounded. You begin to plan bigger goals with clarity. You start thinking in terms of years instead of moments. Automating savings before spending is not just a financial move. It is a shift in how you relate to your future. It is an act of discipline that builds trust in yourself. It is a quiet, steady reminder that you are capable of building stability through simple, consistent action. Over time, this habit creates not only financial growth, but also personal growth. It strengthens your character. It increases your resilience. It aligns your daily life with your deeper goals. Saving first transforms the way you experience money. It replaces uncertainty with structure. It replaces stress with confidence. It replaces impulse with intention. It becomes a foundation for every other financial habit. Through this simple routine, you claim control over your financial future and build a life rooted in stability, progress, and purpose. Number 3. Invest small amounts every payday. Investing small amounts every payday is one of the most steady and reliable ways to build wealth, even if the amounts seem insignificant at first. The idea is not about putting aside large sums or waiting for a perfect moment. It is about forming a lifelong habit that steadily grows your financial future through consistency, patience, and discipline. When you invest a portion of every paycheck, you create a quiet rhythm of progress. The action becomes a part of your routine, not a dramatic step you force yourself to take. Over time, this steady habit builds strength that grows far beyond the initial effort. Most people avoid investing because they believe it requires large amounts of money or advanced knowledge. They imagine charts, complex terms, and constant market watching. But the truth is simpler. Consistent investment, even with small amounts, has the power to grow into something meaningful because time multiplies the effect. The process does not require extreme intelligence or perfect timing. It requires commitment and the willingness to start with what you have. The 1% understand that every great result begins with a small action done repeatedly. When you invest each payday, you send a message to yourself about what matters. You choose long-term growth over immediate gratification. You choose direction over stagnation. You choose to build instead of waiting. This mindset strengthens your sense of purpose. You begin to shift from thinking about money as something that only serves the present to viewing it as something that builds your future. You stop expecting sudden change and start appreciating steady progress. The power of investing small amounts lies in repetition. Each contribution adds another layer to your foundation. You may not notice the growth at first, but the habit plants seeds that expand over time. The small deposits you make today will not look small years later. They will form the framework of financial independence, slowly and steadily. This growth happens whether you are working, resting, focusing on your life, or facing challenges. The investments continue to work quietly without needing your constant attention. Investing regularly also simplifies your financial decisions. When the process is automatic, you do not rely on emotion to guide your choices. You do not pause and question whether you should invest this month. You do not wait until you feel motivated. The habit happens because you have already committed to it. That consistency protects you from the common mistake of delaying until conditions feel perfect. Conditions rarely feel perfect. Momentum builds when the action becomes part of your routine regardless of circumstances. Small investments also reduce the pressure often associated with building wealth. Many people believe they must take big risks or earn large amounts before they can begin. This belief keeps them stuck. When you invest small amounts, you remove that pressure. You allow yourself to grow gradually. You give yourself space to learn. You experience progress without overwhelming your budget. This steadiness builds confidence and helps you understand how money grows over time. The habit of investing every payday shapes your discipline. It trains you to think beyond the present moment. It encourages patience, one of the core strengths behind long-term success. Each investment becomes a practice in self-control, showing that you value what your future self will experience. This attitude influences other areas of your life as well. You become more thoughtful with decisions. You become more grounded. You develop a stronger sense of direction. Each investment acts as a reminder that growth often begins before you feel ready. You learn to trust the process. You learn that success does not demand perfection. It demands commitment. You start understanding the difference between waiting and building. Waiting changes nothing. Building changes everything. The habit of investing small amounts teaches you that progress is not about speed, but consistency. This routine also helps quiet financial stress. When you know money is being invested regularly, it adds a sense of security. It reduces worry about the distant future because you are already preparing for it. You do not rely on last-minute solutions. You do not panic about the years ahead. You are actively shaping them with every deposit, and that calmness allows you to move through your present life with greater confidence. Investing small amounts every payday also protects you from market fear. When you invest regularly, you naturally experience both high and low market conditions. This teaches you patience. You learn not to react emotionally to market fluctuations. You stop trying to predict outcomes and instead focus on your long-term strategy. Over time, your investments benefit from a mixture of prices, smoothing out the emotional highs and lows that often discourage inconsistent investors. This habit builds resilience. The process also encourages learning. As you invest consistently, you begin to understand more about money. Not because you force yourself to study endlessly, but because the habit creates curiosity. You start paying attention to how your investments grow. You become more aware of the opportunities available to you. You begin to understand how simple principles like compounding work. This knowledge grows naturally and becomes part of your mindset. One of the greatest strengths of investing small amounts is how it changes your identity. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who struggles with money and start seeing yourself as someone who builds wealth with discipline and patience. This identity shift influences your decisions. You begin making choices that support your financial growth. You manage your spending differently. You prioritize differently. You develop a sense of responsibility that extends into every aspect of your life. Investing every payday builds momentum even when you cannot see immediate results. You trust the long-term process. You understand that meaningful things take time. You accept that the early stages may feel slow, but you continue because your commitment is based on discipline, not emotion. This strengthens your character. It teaches you to stay steady regardless of how fast or slow progress seems. This habit also reduces the temptation to chase quick results. Many people take unnecessary risks because they feel behind. They rush, hoping for fast success. They jump into decisions without thought. When you invest steadily, you break free from that mindset. You are not looking for overnight change. You are building something durable. You choose stability over impulsiveness. That calm approach protects you from costly mistakes. Investing small amounts is not only about money. It is about building a future defined by preparation and intention. It gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a connection to the person you want to become. Every payday becomes an opportunity to strengthen that connection, to take one more step toward independence. As the habit continues, you realize that small actions repeated consistently often outperform large actions done once. This understanding becomes a powerful lesson for life itself. You begin noticing how small habits compound in your health, your mindset, your relationships, and your work. The financial discipline you practice every payday becomes a foundation that influences everything around it. This routine also builds gratitude. You begin appreciating your income not just as something to survive on, but as something that can grow and support your future. You start valuing each paycheck more. You no longer view income as something that disappears quickly, but as fuel for long-term progress. That sense of appreciation strengthens your relationship with money and reduces destructive habits. Most importantly, investing small amounts each payday builds confidence in your ability to shape your future. You realize that you are not powerless. You understand that your actions today have meaning. You see that you can influence the path ahead. This confidence grows with every contribution. It becomes a foundation of emotional strength that supports your journey through life. Investing small amounts every payday is a practice rooted in discipline, patience, and quiet determination. It is a simple habit with a powerful impact. It teaches responsibility. It builds resilience. It shapes your mindset into one focused on long-term growth. Number 4. Review money goals every week. Reviewing money goals every week is a habit that keeps your financial life awake, clear, and active. It prevents drift. It prevents confusion. It keeps your direction sharp. Most people set goals once, feel motivated for a moment, and then allow daily life to distract them. Days pass, weeks pass, and most of the goals they once cared about fade into the background. The people who build strong financial lives do something different. They return to their goals regularly, not once a year, not once a month, but every single week. This routine gives them clarity, control, and confidence, because they always know exactly where they stand and where they are heading. A weekly review is a moment of truth. It is a pause that allows you to step back from the noise of daily responsibilities and look directly at your financial direction. Without this pause, the mind becomes foggy. You might believe you are doing well, or you might feel lost. But feelings are not facts. A weekly review replaces assumptions with reality. It helps you see whether your actions match your intentions. It shows you whether you are moving toward your goals or slipping away from them. This habit builds honesty, first with your numbers, then with yourself. When you review your goals every week, you develop a habit of awareness. Awareness strengthens discipline. It becomes easier to correct mistakes before they grow into problems. A tiny overspending pattern that might become destructive over months can be corrected in a week when you notice it early. Small adjustments become simple. Clear decisions become easier. You feel more grounded because nothing blindsides you. Awareness is not about perfection. It is about staying connected to your direction. This routine also provides momentum. Every time you review your goals, you remind yourself of what you're working toward. You reconnect to the reasons behind your discipline. Money goals become more than numbers, they become reminders of the life you want to build. When you remind yourself weekly, the goals stay alive. They do not fade, they do not lose power. They continue to influence your choices throughout the week, helping you stay focused even during stressful days. A weekly review also protects you from drifting into old habits. Most financial mistakes are not sudden. They grow slowly when you stop paying attention. When you check in every week, you interrupt that drift. You stay alert. You catch yourself early. You reinforce the behaviors that support your progress. This habit becomes a protective layer around your goals, making it harder for distractions and impulses to interfere with your long-term plans. There is also a sense of calm that comes from checking your goals regularly. Many people avoid looking at their finances because they are afraid of what they might see. Avoidance creates anxiety. It keeps you in the dark. A weekly review breaks that cycle. When you face your situation directly, the fear loses power, even if the numbers are not where you want them to be. Clarity reduces stress. You know what needs attention, and that knowledge gives you a sense of control. Weekly reviews also help you refine your goals. As life changes, your needs and priorities change too. A goal that made sense 3 months ago might need adjustment today. By reviewing weekly, you begin noticing these shifts early. You stay aligned with your current reality instead of following old plans that no longer match your life. This flexibility keeps you focused without becoming rigid. It helps you evolve with intention rather than reacting to circumstances. One of the greatest benefits of reviewing money goals weekly is the discipline it creates. Returning to your goals every 7 days builds the habit of reflection. You begin to see the bigger picture instead of getting stuck in daily emotions. You learn to separate important decisions from temporary impulses. This calm perspective helps you make choices that support your long-term well-being instead of reacting to short-term desires. The weekly review also encourages consistency. You begin seeing how small actions add up. You notice the progress you make, even if it feels slow. Progress that once felt invisible becomes visible when you track it regularly. This sense of growth strengthens your confidence. It reminds you that change is happening, even when it is not dramatic. That confidence helps you stay disciplined during challenging weeks, because you know your efforts are building something real. This habit teaches you responsibility. You start taking ownership of your financial decisions instead of blaming circumstances or expecting things to improve on their own. The more responsibility you take, the stronger your financial stability becomes. Weekly reviews help you stay accountable to yourself. They prevent excuses from taking over. They keep you honest about what you are doing and what you need to improve. A weekly review also helps you identify opportunities. When you check your progress consistently, you begin noticing patterns. You see where money is being wasted. You see where you can redirect funds toward better goals. You see chances to improve your habits, increase your savings, or restructure a plan. These opportunities often go unnoticed when you do not check in regularly. The routine sharpens your awareness and makes you more proactive. This habit also strengthens your long-term thinking. Every week, you revisit the bigger picture instead of getting lost in daily distractions. This trains your mind to think beyond temporary cravings or impulses. It builds the habit of choosing what benefits you most over what feels easiest. This strength extends beyond money. It influences how you approach challenges, decisions, and goals in other areas of life. Weekly reflection teaches patience and intentionality. The weekly review becomes a moment of grounding. It creates space for stillness. It helps you slow down and reconnect to yourself. The process does not have to be complicated. It can be simple: checking your accounts, reviewing your spending, adjusting your goals, and asking yourself whether you moved closer or farther from your goals this week. This simplicity is powerful because it brings clarity without overwhelming you. This routine also builds consistency in your mindset. Money becomes less emotional because you interact with it regularly. You stop feeling intimidated by numbers. You stop feeling confused or overwhelmed. Confidence replaces uncertainty. Structure replaces chaos. You begin to trust your ability to make good decisions because you see evidence of your improvements every week. As you continue this habit, you start making better choices naturally. You become more intentional with spending. You avoid unnecessary purchases without forcing yourself. You prioritize what matters because your goals are present in your mind. The weekly reminder strengthens your self-control. It becomes easier to say no to totaish because your focus is clear. Reviewing your goals weekly also reinforces your sense of purpose. You are not simply earning and spending. You have direction, you have intention, you have something you are building. This purpose gives your financial life a deeper meaning. It turns every decision into a step forward instead of a random movement. The routine becomes a steady heartbeat, guiding your progress. This habit also teaches you to appreciate small wins. Every week, you notice improvements that once seemed too minor to acknowledge. These small wins build momentum. They show you that progress is real and happening. They remind you that success is built through consistent effort, not dramatic leaps. This realization helps you remain patient and motivated during slower weeks. The weekly review shapes your identity. You become someone who pays attention, someone who takes responsibility, someone who does not leave finances to luck or chance. This identity shift changes how you carry yourself. It changes how you make decisions. It changes how you plan your future. You feel more grounded because you know you are actively shaping your life instead of drifting through it. Reviewing money goals every week is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about staying aware, staying steady, and staying responsible. It is a simple routine that brings clarity, strength, and focus. Over time, it becomes one of the most important habits you can develop for financial growth. With every weekly check-in, you build a stronger foundation, a clearer mind, and a more stable future. Number 5. Limit impulse buying with plans. When people talk about impulse buying, they usually describe the quick rush, the small hit of excitement, and the brief sense of reward that fades almost as fast as it arrived. What they do not talk about is the quiet cost that follows, the lingering regret, the pressure on savings, the disruption of long-term goals, and the growing feeling of losing control. Limiting impulse buying is not only about spending less money. It is about taking back control of your choices. It is about refusing to let temporary urges interfere with the future you want to build. When a plan replaces impulse, life becomes calmer, clearer, and far more intentional. Rich individuals understand this deeply. They do not depend on willpower to resist sudden desires. They build systems that keep their decisions aligned with their long-term goals. You can build the same systems in your own life, starting with something as simple as creating a plan before you spend. The first thing that happens when you interrupt impulse buying with a plan is a shift in awareness. You stop reacting and start choosing. Most financial mistakes happen because people rush. They buy without thinking. They try to soothe stress with quick purchases, or they follow a trend just because everyone else is doing it. When you slow down and create even a simple spending plan for the week, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes clearer. You start to see what actually matters and what is only a passing urge. You begin to understand where your money should go instead of where your emotions want to push it. This awareness becomes a foundation that strengthens you every time you receive your paycheck. Another important part of limiting impulse buying is understanding your personal triggers. Everyone has moments when they are more likely to buy without thinking. Some people make impulsive decisions when they feel stressed. Others spend when they are bored, lonely, or looking for a quick distraction. Some get influenced by advertising. Others react to discounts, thinking they are saving money when they are actually spending unnecessarily. Take time to observe your patterns. Notice what situations lead you toward unplanned purchases. Once you understand your triggers, you can shape a plan that protects your money before temptation appears. This is how discipline grows, quietly through awareness and practical preparation. Planning your purchases does not have to be complicated. It can be as simple as creating a list before you go shopping, setting a weekly budget for personal spending, or deciding ahead of time how much you will allow yourself to spend on entertainment, food, or small wants. When you make these decisions in advance, you reduce the room for impulse. You also save mental energy because your choices are already made. Instead of deciding in the moment, you follow a structure you created when you were calm and thinking long-term. This small act alone can prevent countless unnecessary expenses. A powerful strategy that wealthy individuals use is delaying purchases. When they feel the urge to buy something, they do not immediately act. They wait. Sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. The delay gives their mind space to think clearly. More often than not, the desire disappears. You can apply this same principle by creating a rule for yourself. For example, wait 24 hours before buying anything outside your essential spending. This simple pause can save you from losing money on things that do not add value to your life. It gives you the chance to evaluate whether the purchase aligns with your goals or whether it is just an emotional reaction. Creating plans also means reducing the number of situations where impulse buying becomes easy. If you know that browsing online stores late at night leads to unnecessary spending, remove the apps that tempt you. If you often buy snacks, gadgets, or clothes on your way home because you pass certain shops, change your route. If social media influencers push you to buy products you do not need, unfollow accounts that encourage mindless consumption. Planning is not only about what you will do, it is also about what you will avoid. When you shape your environment intentionally, discipline becomes effortless. Another valuable step is to make your financial goals visible. Write them down where you can easily see them. When you look at your goals regularly, your mind naturally becomes more focused on the future instead of the present impulse. A written goal has weight. It reminds you that every choice matters. Whether you want to build savings, create an emergency fund, invest consistently, or reach a long-term dream like buying a home or building a business, having that goal in front of you strengthens your resolve. It becomes much harder to buy something unnecessary when you are constantly reminded of the bigger picture. A spending plan also becomes more effective when you add structure to your week. Set a specific day for reviewing your upcoming expenses, checking your progress, and adjusting your allowed personal spending. This routine gives you control, it reduces surprises, and makes you feel grounded. When you already know what you will spend during the week, you walk into each day with purpose instead of reacting to random desires. The plan becomes your guide, and every small choice aligns with your long-term vision. You can strengthen this structure further by creating categories for your spending. Essential expenses come first. Savings and investments follow. Then you create a small, controlled section for wants. This section is not the enemy, it is a healthy part of life. It allows enjoyment without damaging your progress. By giving yourself a clear boundary, You can enjoy small pleasures while staying disciplined. The key is that your wants are planned, not impulsive. Planning protects your financial stability and ensures that enjoyment does not turn into regret. Another useful approach is tracking how you feel before making a purchase. Many impulsive decisions come from emotional imbalance. When you pause and ask yourself why you want something, you interrupt the automatic urge. You create a space for honesty. Is this purchase actually needed? Is it aligned with your goals? Will it matter after today? Will it bring lasting value or only temporary relief? These simple questions can transform your relationship with money. They help you develop emotional discipline, which is one of the strongest traits of financially successful individuals. Limiting impulse buying through planning also increases your confidence. When you see that you are able to make intentional decisions, your belief in yourself grows. You start trusting your ability to handle money wisely. This confidence spreads to other areas of your life. You become more disciplined with your time, your habits, and your goals. You start to carry yourself with a calm certainty that comes from knowing you are in control. This quiet confidence is one of the most valuable rewards of developing strong financial discipline. Over time, your plans become a natural part of your life. Impulse loses its power. You recognize your urges without attaching to them. You make choices that reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. Each intentional decision becomes a small step toward the life you want. When you follow your plan, you are not limiting yourself, you are protecting your future. Limiting impulse buying with plans is not about living with restriction. It is about living with clarity. It is about valuing your future more than a moment of excitement. It is about choosing progress over distraction. When you decide where your money goes before you spend it, every part of your life becomes more controlled and grounded. Over time, you build a financial foundation strong enough to support any goal you pursue. This simple habit separates those who struggle from those who grow. It is not dramatic, it is steady, and it changes everything. Number 6. Grow skills using monthly budget. Skill growth is one of the most valuable investments a person can make, yet many people overlook it because it does not give an immediate reward. The truth is that every high earner, every successful creator, and every resilient thinker grows because they consistently develop their skills, and they do it with intention. Using a monthly budget to support your skill growth is one of the smartest habits you can build. It turns personal development into something structured rather than random. It makes progress predictable. It keeps you moving forward even in months when motivation feels low. When you assign money to your growth, you send a clear message to yourself. Your future matters more than short-lived comfort. Most people never improve their skills because they treat learning as something optional. They wait for free time, extra energy, or sudden inspiration, and those moments rarely come. The people who rise above average treat learning as a monthly necessity. They set aside money the same way they would for bills or savings. This small, consistent commitment becomes the foundation of long-term transformation. A monthly budget for skill building brings structure to an area of life where most people have no direction at all. Instead of wandering, you move with purpose. Instead of guessing, you follow a clear plan. The first step is deciding which skills you want to develop. This requires honesty. Look at your life and identify areas where improvement would create the most impact. For some, it might be communication skills. For others, it could be learning a new technology, strengthening financial literacy, improving leadership, building discipline, or mastering something creative. The goal is not to learn everything at once. The goal is to choose a few skills that align with your future goals and dedicate part of your monthly budget to them. When you tie learning to your financial plan, you commit on a deeper level. It becomes something you financially support, not just something you hope for. Using your budget to grow skills also protects you from drifting toward distractions. When you allocate money for books, courses, tools or workshops, you train your mind to focus on long-term growth instead of temporary pleasures. You begin spending money on things that strengthen you instead of weaken you. This shift gradually changes your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who builds, improves, invests in your mind, and treats learning as a responsibility. This mindset separates the highly successful from those who remain stuck in the same patterns year after year. A monthly budget also keeps your skill growth consistent. Many people get excited about learning something new but stop after a few days. Consistency is what builds mastery, not intensity. When your budget includes a set amount of money for learning, you return to this commitment every month, even when motivation fades. You maintain steady progress. You never go too long without feeding your mind. Month by month, your knowledge compounds, just like money in an investment account. Over time, you become someone who grows naturally, almost effortlessly, because you built the habit into your financial lifestyle. Another advantage of budgeting for skill growth is that it helps you avoid unnecessary spending on things that do not contribute to your development. When you know that a portion of your money is already reserved for learning, you become more selective about where the rest of your money goes. You stop wasting money on random items that provide no long-term value because you are focused on building something meaningful. This gives your financial life more structure and purpose. It makes you feel more grounded because your budget reflects your priorities. Using a budget to grow your skills also teaches discipline. When you stick to a plan, even when you feel tempted to use the money elsewhere, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that you can follow through. Discipline in one area often spreads to other areas. Once you become consistent with your learning budget, you may notice improvements in your work habits, health routines, or financial practices. Success rarely comes from dramatic actions. It comes from small habits that reinforce a strong identity. Another powerful effect of budgeting for skills is the sense of progress it brings. When you commit to monthly growth, you can measure improvements more clearly. You notice how much more confident you feel speaking, writing, working, or solving problems. You start to realize that progress did not happen by chance. It happened because you invested in yourself every month. This awareness motivates you to continue. It creates a positive cycle where growth leads to confidence, and confidence leads to more growth. You can also use your budget to access tools that accelerate learning. This might include software, equipment, or materials that allow you to practice your skills more effectively. When you invest in high-quality tools, you shorten your learning curve. You also create an environment that supports your progress. Even a small monthly budget can make a huge difference over time when used intentionally. What matters most is not the amount but the consistency and the purpose behind it. Another benefit of this habit is that it builds resilience. The more skills you develop, the more options you have in life. You become flexible. You adapt more easily to challenges. You can handle changes in your career, economy, or personal life because you have the confidence that comes from being capable. Skills give you security. They give you freedom. They give you leverage. When you invest in skills every month, you reduce your dependence on external circumstances. You create a foundation that supports you no matter what happens around you. Budgeting for skills also teaches you to value time. When you spend money on learning, you naturally become more careful about how you use your hours. You avoid wasting time because you are aware of the effort and resources you invest in your growth. You treat your time with more respect. You become protective of it. This alone can increase your productivity and focus more than any tool or course ever could. Using your monthly budget to grow your skills also improves your decision-making. As you learn more, you think more clearly. You start making choices with greater confidence and maturity. You become less reactive and more strategic. You begin to understand what truly matters. Every new skill adds another layer of wisdom to your life. Each month adds to the next, creating a powerful upward path that expands your abilities. Another important part of this process is reflection. When you reach the end of each month, take a moment to think about what you learned and how it helped you. This reinforces the value of your investment. It also helps you adjust your next month's learning plan. Maybe you want to deepen your understanding of a certain topic. Maybe you want to explore something new. Reflection ensures that you are not learning randomly but with intention and clarity. You also begin to attract better opportunities when you grow your skills consistently. People notice your discipline, your awareness, and your expanding knowledge. They recognize someone who is committed to improvement. This can open doors in your career, relationships, and personal life. Investing in yourself always returns in unexpected ways. It may not show immediately, but it always comes back with greater value. Consistency in learning also builds a deeper sense of purpose. When you dedicate part of your financial plan to growth, you live with intention. You wake up each day knowing you are shaping your life. You develop a quiet strength that comes from building yourself slowly and steadily. You become someone who trusts the process, who stays committed even when progress feels slow. Over time, your monthly investment in growth transforms your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who just works to survive. You become someone who grows to thrive. You begin to carry yourself with confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you are improving every month. You know you are building a version of yourself that is stronger, more capable, and more resilient. Using a monthly budget to grow your skills is not only a financial habit, it is a commitment to your future. It is a promise you make to yourself every month. It is a decision to stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. When you dedicate part of your money to learning, you invest in the one thing that will never lose value, your mind. This habit elevates your life far beyond what you can see today. It opens a path that grows wider and stronger with every month you stay committed. Number 7. Build multiple income streams slowly. Building multiple income streams is one of the strongest ways to create financial stability, yet it is often misunderstood. Many people think they need to move fast, jump into several projects at once, or force themselves into ideas they do not understand. This usually leads to burnout, confusion, or wasted energy. The people who actually succeed take a different approach. They build slowly. They build with intention. They build one stream at a time, giving each one the attention needed to grow strong before adding another. This steady approach protects their time, reduces stress, and helps them create income that lasts instead of collapsing under pressure. When you move slowly and deliberately, your foundation becomes strong enough to support real freedom. The first step in building multiple income streams is recognizing that your main income is still the base. You do not abandon it. You do not treat it as something temporary. You use it strategically to support your next steps. Many people think they need to quit their job to start something new, but that only creates more pressure. The 1% understand that stability is fuel. With a stable source of income, you can learn, experiment, and test new ideas without fear. You can grow your second stream with patience instead of panic. You can stay calm because you are not depending on your new ideas to survive. This calmness gives you clarity, and clarity helps you make better decisions while building new income. Choosing your first additional income stream requires honesty. You must consider your strengths, your interests, and the skills you already have. The goal is not to chase trends. The goal is to build something sustainable. For some people, the right path might be freelancing in a skill they already know. For others, it may be selling products, creating digital content, offering services, or learning a skill that can be monetized. Whatever you choose, it has to match your lifestyle. It has to be something you can commit to without overwhelming yourself. A slow, steady habit will always outperform a rushed, chaotic effort. Once you choose the path you want to build, the next step is learning. Every income stream, no matter how small, requires knowledge. You need to understand the basics. You need to understand the audience, the process, and the tools. When you learn slowly, you absorb more. You make fewer mistakes. You build confidence. This process is not glamorous, but it is necessary. Skill creates income. Discipline keeps that income growing. And patience ensures that your efforts last long enough to become something meaningful. You also need to protect your energy while building new income. Many people make the mistake of trying to add too much at once. They start 3 or 4 ideas at the same time, hoping one will succeed. Instead of success, they end up tired, unfocused, and discouraged. The smarter approach is to choose one stream, build it until it becomes stable, and then move to the next. Stability means the stream can run with less of your daily involvement. It means you understand how it works. It means it continues to bring in income without needing constant attention. When one stream reaches this point, you are ready to start building another. Another key part of growing multiple income streams slowly is tracking your progress. When you measure your growth, you stay motivated. You also stay aware of what is working and what is not. This prevents you from wasting time. Tracking does not have to be complicated. It can be as simple as writing down how much time you spent building your new stream, how much income it generated, and what improvements you made. This small habit keeps you focused on your long-term vision instead of getting distracted by daily noise. One of the biggest advantages of building income streams slowly is the reduction of risk. When you do not rush, you have time to test ideas. You can experiment without fear. You can explore different approaches until you find what works best. This protects you from making large financial mistakes. It allows you to build with stability instead of desperation. Over time, this cautious and thoughtful approach leads to strong results. You end up with streams that last instead of collapsing after a few months. It is also important to understand that building income takes patience. Some months you will see progress. Other months you may feel stuck. But progress is not always visible. Sometimes the learning phase feels slow, but it is preparing you for breakthroughs that will come later. Every skill you gain, every lesson you learn, and every challenge you overcome becomes part of your foundation. These experiences make you stronger. They help you build income streams that are not easily shaken by changes in the market or unexpected obstacles. Another important part of this process is controlling your expenses. When you keep your costs low, you give yourself more space to grow. You do not need to invest large amounts of money to build additional income. Many income streams start with knowledge, consistency, and small steps. When you avoid unnecessary spending, you free up resources that can support your learning, tools, or business ideas. Financial discipline creates breathing room, and breathing room increases your ability to grow without stress. You should also create routines that support your efforts. Even if you can only dedicate a small amount of time each day or week, consistency matters more than intensity. A few hours of focused effort done consistently will build more income over time than a week of intense work followed by a month of inactivity. When you treat your new income stream like a real responsibility, you begin to see real results. This routine also helps you develop a strong work ethic, which becomes valuable in every area of life. Building multiple income streams slowly also strengthens your confidence. Every time you create something that brings in money, even a small amount, you realize your potential. You begin to trust yourself more. You start to feel capable of handling challenges. You see that you are not limited to a single source of income. This confidence becomes fuel. It motivates you to continue. It gives you the courage to expand. It reminds you that you are not trapped in one path. You have options because you created them. One of the greatest benefits of having multiple income streams is the freedom it provides. When one income slows down, the others protect you. You are no longer dependent on a single paycheck. You gain flexibility in how you live, work, and plan your future. You gain the ability to help others, pursue new experiences, and take opportunities that were once out of reach. This freedom is not built overnight. It is built slowly through steady effort, smart decisions, and disciplined habits. Over time, your streams begin to support each other. One may grow faster, another may require less effort, and another may open doors to new possibilities. You begin to see how each one strengthens the others. You develop a financial ecosystem that grows more stable with every new stream you build. This is the mindset of the 1%. They do not rely on luck. They build systems. They build slowly. They build wisely. And because they build with patience, their income continues to grow long after others have given up. Building multiple income streams slowly is not about chasing money. It is about building a stronger version of yourself. It is about gaining control over your time, your choices, and your future. It is about rising above uncertainty. It is about freedom found through discipline. When you commit to this path, you move at a pace that strengthens you instead of overwhelming you. You grow steadily. You stay grounded. And with each new stream you build, you step closer to a life defined by stability, opportunity, and confidence. Number 8. Avoid debt through strict discipline. Avoiding debt through strict discipline is one of the most empowering choices a person can make, yet it often gets ignored because many people think debt is normal, harmless, or simply something they will deal with later. But debt quietly controls decisions, limits freedom, and creates pressure that affects every part of life. When debt grows, it feels like a shadow that follows you everywhere, taking energy you could use to build your future. The people who rise into the top 1% approach debt with a seriousness most people never develop. They do not wait until debt becomes a problem. They prevent it through discipline. They protect their stability by treating debt not as an option, but as something to avoid, unless absolutely necessary. This mindset can transform your entire financial life. Strict discipline begins with understanding the true cost of debt. Many people only look at the price tag of an item, not the long-term interest that follows. They think they are buying something small today, but they end up paying far more than the item is worth. Debt multiplies silently. It grows during the night, while you sleep. It grows when you are not paying attention. This slow, constant increase is what traps people. When you recognize how debt steals from your future income, you start to see why discipline is not a restriction. It is a form of freedom. Avoiding debt requires constantly questioning your decisions. Before making a purchase, you need to consider whether you are buying for comfort or for necessity. Many debts begin with moments of emotional weakness, buying something to feel better after a stressful day, purchasing to impress others, or acting quickly because of a discount that creates artificial urgency. Discipline means refusing to allow emotions to make financial choices. It means giving yourself time to think, It means making decisions with a calm mind rather than a reactive impulse. Every moment of restraint becomes a step toward control. Another important part of avoiding debt is understanding the difference between wants and needs. Needs keep you alive, stable, and functional. Wants provide comfort, but often fade quickly. When you discipline yourself to focus on needs first, you begin to see how many purchases are unnecessary. You realize how much of your spending is driven by habit, advertising, social comparison, or boredom rather than real value. This awareness creates strength. It helps you separate temporary urges from meaningful goals. Each time you choose needs over wants, you protect your future self. Strict discipline also means creating a financial structure that makes debt less tempting. When your budget is clear, your savings are consistent, and you know exactly how much you can afford, debt becomes unnecessary. You do not need to borrow when you already have money set aside for emergencies. You do not feel desperate when a sudden expense appears. You are prepared. This preparation gives you confidence and keeps you calm, even when life becomes unpredictable. Without structure, small problems quickly turn into debt. With structure, even large problems become manageable. One of the strongest tools for avoiding debt is building an emergency fund. Unexpected expenses are one of the main reasons people fall into debt. Car repairs, medical bills, job changes, or family emergencies can create sudden financial pressure. Without savings, people turn to loans or credit cards. With savings, you handle the situation without damaging your stability. An emergency fund is not just money. It is protection. It is peace of mind. It is the feeling of having control in moments when others panic. Another powerful form of discipline is learning to live below your means. This does not mean living with scarcity. It means living with intention. It means spending less than you earn so you always have room to breathe. Rich individuals often live simpler than people expect. They do not buy everything they can afford. They choose carefully. They prioritize long-term growth over short-term gratification. Living below your means creates space for savings, investments, and opportunities. It keeps you grounded. It protects you from the struggles that come from overspending. Avoiding debt also requires being honest with yourself about habits that lead to financial trouble. If you often spend without thinking, you need rules. If certain environments make you want to buy unnecessary things, avoid them. If you find yourself drawn to quick financing options, remind yourself of their long-term cost. Discipline means removing temptations, not testing your willpower over and over. When you shape your environment, you make discipline easier. You create a lifestyle that supports your goals instead of challenging them. Another area where discipline is essential is recognizing the danger of small debts. Many people ignore small loans, thinking they are harmless. But small debts often pile up quietly until they become overwhelming. Every small loan takes a piece of your future income. Every payment limits your choices. Every interest charge becomes a barrier between you and financial freedom. Avoiding even small debts keeps your path clear. It allows every dollar you earn to support growth instead of paying for past mistakes. You also strengthen your discipline by setting clear financial goals. When you know what you are working toward, whether it is a savings target, a business idea, a property, or long-term security, your choices become sharper. You stop wasting money on things that pull you away from your goals. You see debt not as a tool, but as an obstacle. You begin to value your progress more than the excitement of buying something new. Goals create focus. Focus creates discipline. Discipline creates freedom. Another critical part of avoiding debt is learning patience. Many people borrow because they want something now instead of waiting until they can afford it. They trade tomorrow for today without realizing the long-term consequence. Patience is one of the strongest financial skills you can develop. When you wait until you have saved enough, you avoid interest, stress, and regret. You also enjoy the reward more because you earned it through discipline, not borrowed it through convenience. Strict discipline also means understanding that not every opportunity is worth the financial risk. Some people enter debt thinking they are making an investment, only to find they are trapped by payments for something that brings no real return. Before borrowing for anything, you must evaluate whether it will truly increase your income or improve your life in a meaningful way. If it does not, the debt is not worth it. Saying no to unnecessary risks is a form of strength, not fear. Avoiding debt gives you more than financial safety. It gives you mental clarity. Debt creates stress that lingers, even when you are not thinking about it. It affects your sleep, your decisions, and your sense of peace. When you eliminate debt, your mind becomes lighter. Your choices become clearer. Your confidence grows. You feel more in control of your life. This clarity allows you to plan, build, grow, and move forward without fear holding you back. Over time, strict discipline becomes a natural part of your identity. You no longer feel tempted by loans or quick financing because you see how much they limit your future. You begin to take pride in your restraint. You gain strength from knowing you are not controlled by impulse or pressure. You realize that discipline is not a punishment. It is a tool that protects your future. Avoiding debt through discipline is not about living with restriction. It is about living with wisdom. It is about making choices that strengthen you instead of weaken you. It is about building a life supported by stability instead of fear. When you commit to strict discipline, you protect your mind, your money, and your future. You open the door to opportunities that debt would have taken away. You create freedom through responsibility. And as time goes on, you become someone who stands strong, grounded, and in control of every financial step you take. Number 9. Study financial books every month. Studying financial books every month is a habit that separates the people who simply earn money from those who grow wealth consistently. Most people never take the time to learn about money beyond their immediate experiences. They rely on guesswork, opinions from friends, or short-term advice they find online. The result is a cycle of uncertainty, missed opportunities, and occasional mistakes that slowly erode their progress. Wealthy individuals, on the other hand, treat financial education as a lifelong commitment. They understand that knowledge is the foundation for all money decisions. Reading financial books regularly sharpens their judgment, improves decision-making, and builds a mindset capable of creating lasting wealth. This is not about memorizing formulas or jargon. It is about developing practical understanding and confidence in handling money. When you commit to studying financial books monthly, you build a steady rhythm of learning. Each book provides insights, strategies, and perspectives that you can immediately apply to your own finances. You begin to recognize patterns in wealth building, investment, budgeting, and financial psychology. You see what works, what doesn't, and why. Over time, this accumulated knowledge shapes the way you think about money. You stop reacting impulsively to spending urges. You stop feeling anxious about debt or investments. You begin making informed decisions because you have a mental library of principles to rely on. This foundation of knowledge is more powerful than any single source of income. The act of reading also trains your mind to think long-term. Many financial mistakes happen because people focus on instant gratification or short-term results. When you immerse yourself in books that explain wealth creation, you begin to understand the importance of patience, discipline, and planning. You see the benefits of compound interest, consistent investment, and calculated risk. You learn that wealth is rarely built overnight, but it grows steadily when guided by knowledge and strategy. Monthly study keeps this perspective fresh in your mind and encourages decisions that benefit your future self rather than only your present desires. Financial books also teach the importance of mindset. Success with money is not only about numbers, it is about habits, psychology, and self-discipline. Reading about how others think about money helps you recognize your own biases and limiting beliefs. You learn to identify destructive patterns, like fear-driven decisions, overconfidence, or procrastination. Awareness of these mental traps is essential. Once you understand them, you can consciously choose alternative actions that lead to stability and growth. Monthly study reinforces this awareness and slowly rewires your thinking over time. Another benefit of reading financial books is the exposure to different strategies. Every book introduces a new angle: investment approaches, budgeting systems, entrepreneurship insights, tax strategies, or ways to protect wealth. You begin to see options you never knew existed. Some strategies will fit your life immediately, while others may be future opportunities. Each book expands your toolkit, giving you more choices and more control. When you accumulate knowledge consistently, you can combine insights in creative ways that align with your personal goals. This flexibility is one of the biggest advantages of continuous study. Studying financial books also builds confidence. Money decisions often feel risky because people are unsure of what to do. With knowledge, uncertainty decreases. You begin to understand why certain investments make sense and why some expenses are detrimental. This confidence allows you to act decisively instead of hesitating or reacting out of fear. Each book you read strengthens your ability to make choices that support long-term stability, and over time, this confidence becomes second nature. You start to trust your judgment because it is based on knowledge, not guesswork. A monthly habit ensures consistency, which is critical. One book is valuable, but the benefits multiply when you read regularly. Every month you reinforce previous lessons while gaining new insights. Repetition helps concepts stick. Regular exposure prevents your financial understanding from stagnating. Knowledge is not static. Strategies evolve, markets change, and personal situations shift. Reading every month keeps you adaptive, informed, and ready to apply lessons to real-world decisions. This continuous learning builds resilience, ensuring you are prepared for both opportunities and challenges. The habit of studying financial books also fosters discipline. Making time to read, digest, and apply information requires commitment. You learn to prioritize learning over distractions. This discipline translates into other areas of life, including budgeting, investing, and planning. The act of dedicating time every month to financial education signals to yourself that growth matters. It is a quiet form of self-respect that accumulates quietly but powerfully over time. By building discipline in learning, you naturally strengthen other money habits without forcing change. Reading financial books also helps you avoid common mistakes. Most errors in money management stem from ignorance, not bad intentions. By understanding principles such as risk management, cash flow importance, and investment diversification, you reduce the likelihood of costly errors. Knowledge acts as a shield. Each book equips you to anticipate potential pitfalls and make informed choices. Over months and years, this prevention creates significant advantage. Avoiding mistakes is often as powerful as earning more because it protects resources that would otherwise be lost. Another key element is perspective. Books written by successful individuals or financial experts provide viewpoints that you would rarely encounter in daily life. You see how others handled failure, uncertainty and setbacks. You learn strategies that allowed them to build wealth while maintaining discipline. These stories give you context and inspire you to adopt approaches that align with success principles. Perspective allows you to stay calm during challenges, make smarter choices, and remain committed to long-term goals even when short-term outcomes are discouraging. Financial literacy also encourages smarter planning. When you read about different approaches to budgeting, investing, and wealth protection, you are more capable of creating a plan tailored to your life. You begin to think strategically instead of reacting emotionally. You anticipate expenses, plan for emergencies, and allocate resources with purpose. Each book contributes to your ability to design a personal financial system that maximizes your security, growth, and opportunities. Knowledge becomes the blueprint for your decisions. Studying financial books regularly also strengthens problem-solving skills. Money challenges are inevitable, whether it is an unexpected bill, a career setback, or an investment decision. With knowledge from books, you approach these problems calmly and logically. You are able to evaluate options, weigh risks, and choose solutions that minimize harm and maximize growth. This ability to respond strategically sets you apart from those who react impulsively and struggle under pressure. Another outcome is the compounding of knowledge. Just as money grows through compound interest, knowledge compounds when you read consistently. Lessons from one book reinforce insights from another. Strategies overlap, principles connect. Over time, this cumulative understanding allows you to see patterns and make decisions with clarity that most people cannot achieve. Monthly study ensures that your knowledge continues to grow and compound, creating increasing value in every decision you make. Finally, studying financial books every month fosters a sense of empowerment. Money is often associated with stress and limitation, but knowledge changes the equation. When you understand principles, strategies, and practical steps, you feel capable of building stability and wealth. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You can make choices proactively. You can create opportunities. You can protect your future. This sense of empowerment is one of the most valuable outcomes of disciplined learning. Reading financial books monthly is more than a habit. It is an investment in yourself. It provides clarity, confidence, discipline, perspective, and a framework for action. Over time, the cumulative effect of regular study transforms your financial mindset, strengthens decision-making, and creates the ability to build wealth with intention. It is a quiet but powerful practice, one that compounds knowledge and opportunity, preparing you to navigate any financial situation with insight, skill, and confidence. Number 10. Adjust budget based on progress. Adjusting your budget based on progress is one of the most overlooked but powerful financial habits anyone can develop. Most people create a budget once and forget it, treating it as a static rule rather than a living, flexible tool. The truth is that life changes constantly, income fluctuates, and goals evolve. A budget that works today may be irrelevant tomorrow if you do not monitor and refine it. The 1% of people who consistently grow wealth understand that discipline alone is not enough. They pair discipline with adaptability. They review their progress, learn from it, and modify their plans accordingly. This approach turns budgeting from a restrictive practice into a dynamic instrument for growth, stability, and opportunity. The first benefit of adjusting your budget based on progress is awareness. By regularly reviewing how well your spending aligns with your goals, you gain insight into what is actually happening with your money. Are you saving more than expected? Are you overspending in a category you underestimated? Are some investments underperforming? This awareness allows you to act proactively rather than reactively. When you know where your money is going, you can make informed decisions, allocate resources more effectively, and avoid surprises that might derail your long-term plans. Awareness creates control, and control is the cornerstone of financial freedom. Monitoring progress also reveals patterns in your behavior. Spending habits are often subconscious. Without tracking and reviewing, small leaks in your budget go unnoticed until they accumulate into significant problems. Adjusting your budget forces reflection on these patterns. Perhaps you consistently underestimate your grocery bills, or maybe entertainment costs creep higher than planned. Recognizing these patterns allows you to take corrective action before they compound. It transforms budgeting from a task you do out of obligation into a strategy you use to strengthen every aspect of your financial life. Another critical reason to adjust your budget is goal alignment. Your financial goals may shift as circumstances change. You may earn a raise, pay off a loan, or discover a new investment opportunity. Sticking rigidly to a budget without updating it can prevent you from taking advantage of these changes. By adjusting your budget, you ensure that your spending and saving priorities remain aligned with your current objectives. This constant realignment keeps your financial decisions intentional and prevents wasted effort on outdated plans. Adjusting a budget also reinforces accountability. When you review your progress, you confront your choices directly. This confrontation is not about judgment. It is about responsibility. You see what is working and what is not. If a category consistently exceeds its limits, you adjust the plan to correct it. If a savings goal is being met faster than expected, you can redirect funds to another priority. Accountability creates a feedback loop that strengthens your decision-making and encourages disciplined habits, while still allowing flexibility. Progress-based budgeting also encourages growth. Many people create a budget solely to limit spending. While restraint is necessary, growth-focused budgeting goes further. By reviewing progress, you identify areas where additional resources can be invested in opportunities that expand wealth. For example, if your savings are consistently higher than anticipated, you may increase contributions to an investment account or allocate funds to a skill development course. Adjusting your budget based on results turns discipline into leverage, making your money work harder for you instead of merely restraining it. This practice also builds resilience. Life rarely follows a perfect plan. Emergencies, unexpected expenses, and sudden changes are inevitable. When you review and adjust your budget regularly, you are better prepared to adapt. You do not panic when circumstances change because your plan is flexible. This resilience reduces stress and allows you to maintain a sense of stability even when external factors fluctuate. It strengthens confidence in your ability to navigate both predictable and unpredictable financial events. Adjusting your budget encourages critical thinking. Every time you review progress, you analyze choices, evaluate outcomes, and make decisions about the next steps. This analytical process develops financial intelligence over time. You begin to understand cause and effect in your spending patterns, recognize which habits create progress, and identify which decisions hold you back. This insight empowers smarter future choices, reducing mistakes and increasing efficiency in managing resources. Another key advantage is motivation. Tracking and adjusting your budget makes progress tangible. Seeing that your savings are increasing, debts are shrinking, or investment contributions are growing gives a sense of accomplishment. This visible evidence of progress reinforces positive behavior and motivates you to continue improving. Motivation built on measurable results is more reliable than willpower alone because it links action with immediate observable outcomes. Adjusting a budget also encourages flexibility in goal setting. Sometimes, initial goals are too aggressive. unrealistic, or no longer relevant. By reviewing progress, you can recalibrate expectations and develop achievable milestones that maintain momentum without causing frustration. Flexible goals create a sustainable approach to financial discipline. They ensure that you are continuously challenged while preventing burnout or discouragement. This adaptability is a hallmark of individuals who achieve long-term financial success. Financial clarity is another outcome of progress-based adjustments. When you evaluate spending, savings, and investments regularly, you gain a detailed understanding of how money flows in your life. This clarity allows better planning, reduces uncertainty, and provides a framework for making confident decisions. You begin to see which strategies are effective, which require changes, and how your financial choices interconnect. This clarity improves efficiency, reduces wasted effort, and strengthens overall financial management. Adjusting your budget also reinforces self-discipline. It teaches you to commit to a process while remaining objective. You develop patience and persistence because you are evaluating outcomes, not just reacting emotionally. You learn to make choices based on data and long-term priorities rather than impulses. This disciplined yet adaptable approach cultivates habits that extend beyond finance into career decisions, personal growth, and lifestyle management. Over time, discipline becomes second nature, reinforced by tangible results rather than abstract rules. Regularly modifying your budget promotes creativity in problem solving. When progress indicates that a category is overfunded or underperforming, you have to devise strategies to reallocate resources effectively. You consider alternatives, find efficiencies, and explore opportunities to optimize your financial plan. This creative thinking is transferable to other aspects of life, encouraging strategic decision-making, resourcefulness, and innovative approaches to challenges. Adjusting your budget based on progress also fosters a sense of empowerment. Instead of feeling controlled by money or circumstances, you take an active role in shaping your financial reality. Each adjustment is an opportunity to reinforce priorities, make improvements, and steer toward your goals. This active engagement builds confidence, independence, and a proactive mindset that influences every decision, big or small. Ultimately, progress-based budgeting transforms money management from a static task into a living system that evolves with your life. It emphasizes learning, adaptation, and reflection. It connects discipline with flexibility, ensuring that your actions remain aligned with long-term success. By reviewing, analyzing, and adjusting your budget, you make your financial plan responsive, intelligent, and sustainable. This approach protects your stability, promotes growth, and strengthens decision-making, allowing you to navigate life with clarity and confidence. Over time, the habit of adjusting your budget based on progress compounds its benefits. Small corrections accumulate into significant improvements. Lessons learned inform future choices. Successes build momentum. You create a system where money serves your goals efficiently and intentionally. This practice ensures that your finances are not merely surviving, but thriving, constantly evolving to reflect your ambitions, achievements, and changing circumstances. It turns budgeting into a tool of empowerment, making each decision purposeful, each adjustment meaningful, and each month an opportunity for growth.